This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 333 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Our sponsors this week are Kentucky Performance Products, Dr. Rose's Remedies, and Riding Warehouse.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Helena and I are both off this week here on the Stable Scoop Radio Show, enjoying a little vacation over the holidays. We hope you had a fantastic Christmas and are looking forward to a wonderful, safe, happy New Year. We thought we would share with you our favorite episode from the Stable Scoop Radio Show this year. It also turned out to be the most downloaded episode we had, ironically enough, and we just thought it was one of the funniest that involved one of our good friends, Kat. The episode was run in March of 2014, and it was called Flexible Nuts, episode 293. We had Ellie O'Brien with us on a training tip on lateral flexion, and then Kat from Eat Your Tart Out with a recipe for chocolate cinnamon almonds and the 9 rules for naked dining. And things just went downhill from there. So I hope you enjoy this. Have fun with it. We'll see you next week with a brand new episode here of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Thank you to all of our listeners and our sponsors and our auditors for everything you've done for us and support you've given us in 2014. We hope we've given you a little entertainment, a little fun, and a little education along the way. We hope also that you'll stay with us in 2015, going into our 7th and an 8th year here on the Stable Scoop Radio Show. And thank you to Helena. I hope you're enjoying your holidays. Your best of episode right after this word from Kentucky Performance Products. Choose Kentucky Performance Products supplements because the horse that matters to you matters to KPP. This week I want to speak with you about Elevate Maintenance Powder. This time of year, horses are consuming very little grass and may not be able to get enough natural vitamin E. Horses in riggers training, seniors, broodmares, and stallions often require additional levels of vitamin E to meet their needs. When you need to supplement with natural vitamin E, choose Elevate Maintenance Powder. Affordable, effective, and research proven, Elevate Maintenance Powder's vitamin E is nature's most powerful antioxidant, protecting your horse on the cellular level. Elevate Maintenance Powder supports the strong immune system and healthy muscle function necessary for top performance. It's affordable, it's easy to feed, and you can learn more about this and all their other products at kppusa.com. That's kppusa.com. This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 293 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show, Flexible Nuts. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are Kentucky Performance Products. For all of their great products, go to kppusa.com.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. bring you the news through hail or high water while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop radio show on the Horse Radio Network.
I kind of have to think that this particular episode is going to create a lot of bloopers for the blooper reel for our mighty fine auditors that have signed up. Because
Indeed, we are. Yes.
with the title Flexible Nuts, it's got to go downhill from here.
We are Flexible Nuts. Tell all your friends if you want to know what the heck that means. You got to listen to the rest of the show. Get your earbuds out. Let's just put it that way.
We do have a couple great guests coming up, and also we're going to learn a little something today, and then also coming up later in the show on the Tack and Habit segment, I'm going to review a site that has posted a complete list of applications for your phone that involve horses, and some of them are funny and bizarre. So we'll go over those. I didn't know there were so many, actually. There's a lot have popped in here. We haven't talked about that lately, so we'll have to do an update.
Okay.
All that's coming up. But first, we've got Kat from Eat Your Tart Out with her recipe of the month.
Our favorite foodie is on with us today, Kat Nielsen. Kat, am I saying this right? It's Nielsen, right?
It is right, yes.
You know, I always mess up your last name. You can't get any more easy American than Nielsen. I mess it up.
It's okay. Well, it's funny because it's all, I thought getting this new last name would make my change a lot easier, and it gets misspelled all the time now, same as my last one, and can't get pronounced right. So I'm still...
Oh, this isn't nothing like your last one.
The grass is always greener on the other side.
Which none of us could say.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, to our listeners, we have Kat Nielsen on. She is from Eat Your Tart Out, which if you have not been there, you have to go to eatyourtartout.com. She's got the most amazing recipes, insights, photographs for foodies ever in the history of everness. Welcome back, Kat.
Well, gosh, you always beef me up like this, and I don't know what else to do but smile and say thank you very much.
What, the history of everness? That's no pressure.
Yeah, none at all.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
We do.
This foodie type of flexible, nutty episode. You're going to talk to us about something called chocolate cinnamons, which, give a teaser. What is a chocolate cinnamon?
It is chocolate, cinnamon, and almonds all combined, and it's just, I stumbled upon this recipe. I love cinnamon and chocolate, which a lot of places don't do, but if you've ever had it before, you love it. It's very addicting. And my one addiction is chocolate covered almonds. Like, I can eat them the whole bag, especially like the Dove ones and things like that. They're so good and you can't stop eating them. Of course, you're thinking nuts and chocolate with the antioxidants. It's healthy, right?
Yes.
Not usually, but especially when you're eating a whole bag. So I've been trying to figure out how to individually coat almonds, and it's really hard to do that. Like, I usually lose my patience in about the first 2 minutes, and then I'm like, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to make bark, and it's not as good. Like, the individual almonds are just amazing, and I might be the only one out there that supports this theory of eating.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
Yeah. Any nut, when it's covered individually, is better.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know what it is, but you get the whole taste sensation. It's not overwhelming. You get the right balance of nut to chocolate to whatever ratio. It's good. It's really good. And so if you were to take chocolate as kind of your moisturizer to the nut, and then you shake it in a powder like you would a shake and bake chicken, that's how you make these almonds.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how much chocolate do you... Okay, see, I have a little bit of insight now into the whole chocolate-covered world here, and I'll get to that in a minute. But let's just dive into this, and then we can talk about our other foodie things that we've got that are waiting, because I'm looking at this picture of a bowl full of chocolate cinnamon-covered almonds. The ingredients are very simple. 1 cup of almonds, 1 cup of milk chocolate chips, 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of salt. So that's the simple part of it. What exactly do you put in the baggie?
Well, it's all simple. That's just the beauty of this, is so the almonds you just roast over the stove. I just love roasted nuts a little bit more. So that's a little bit time consuming, but you do that over a dry pan. It's very easy. And then you melt your chocolate chips. And so what you do is you coat, just with a spatula, you pour the chocolate over your almonds, you coat them so they all have chocolate on all their outsides. And then you mix up the cocoa powder, cinnamon, and salt. And what I did is I put it in a Tupperware container, put it all at the bottom, put the nuts on top of that, and then just shook out all of my frustrations for the day, anything I might be dealing with. And you pull them out and they're all coated, and that's it.
That's all there is to it.
I know it sounds almost too good to be true, but I've been eating these almost every other day or so because they're just so easy to make. So, but
there's no calories in these either because
the thing is with this is, so normally like when you do like a shake and bake chicken or any kind of that like shaking in a bag kind of, you always have those leftover bits that you can't do anything with because it's got egg or it's just soggy. But this, the leftover cocoa and chocolate nibs, you can put them into your hot chocolate.
Oh,
and then you're not wasting anything. And then you got this cinnamony, chocolatey goodness that you can use. You know, you could melt it down again, use it for a sauce for ice cream, mix it in with your ice cream, or do it as a hot chocolate. And that's what I do.
You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me.
So it's so simple, but you use everything. And it tastes amazing. And it's so easy to do.
Now, see, I can, with my diet, I could have everything here, actually. Right. The only thing would be, you know, I don't do sugar. So what is allowed is the dark chocolate. So I could use dark chocolate chips and do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
So easy as that.
And you can take these to a show with you. You can cart these along. This is like M&M's kicked up a notch.
Yes, this is like M&M's for grown-ups.
Yes.
And it's simple enough that anybody could do it. And after a bad day, this is a great recipe that takes like 15 minutes to do. And you get all your frustrations knocked out. So it's a great thing to do at the end of the day when you're just like, I've had enough. I just need to relax. And then you get to eat chocolate when you're all done. How cool
I wonder
is that?
would there be any other nut that this would work with?
Oh, you could do it with cashews.
Cashews. Yeah, I was thinking
pecans.
Cashews. Pecans. That's a good one. Yeah.
Peanuts. You could do it with that. I don't know if the cinnamon would work, but you could always just try it out and see. And if you don't like the cinnamon, you could just opt out of it and add a little bit more cocoa powder.
Or even if you're allowed to have sugar, you could add a little bit of sugar to it too.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
Yummy, yummy. All right. So,
and where can people find the recipe before we go?
So just eatyourtartout.com and you can scroll down or just use the little search tab and just type in chocolate, cinnamon, almonds, any one of those three key terms, and that will pull it up for you.
Very good.
What are we doing? What are we? Oh, yeah.
You went to a wedding over the weekend. I wanted to talk about something with the wedding.
We'll talk about melting chocolate. Chocolate. So we had a big family wedding over the weekend, and I had the honor of helping to make the wedding cake. And it was a chocolate creation that will just your life could end tomorrow if you eat this cake. It's so good. So the cake was made at my house, and it was a chocolate cake. It's very dense, very heavy, dense, but super simple recipe. And we made, like 10-inch, whatever, round. I don't even see. This is how bad I am in the kitchen. We made those round things that turn out to be cakes. So there was it was in layers. It was in tiers, and it was this dense chocolate. And then over top of it, the icing was chocolate as well. And we had to go to the store, and Buck went to the store. He went to Whole Foods, and he got real cooking chocolate, right? In these big chunks that, you think that you can just see them shipping them over from some foreign country in crates on freight shipping lines or whatever. So there's two kinds of chocolate that you can bake with. Apparently, there's the 100% cocoa with no sugar in it. And then there's the 70% that has a little bit of sugar. There's a big difference in how that tastes. Just in case you're wondering, make sure you check your chocolate. The label has to say, it shouldn't say 100%. Anyway, so you put this stuff in a pan, you melt it down till it's like this nice, thick, goopy stuff you kind of want to take a bath in. And then you spread it over the top of the cake. And of course, it hardens. Is that a ganache, Kat? Do they call that ganache?
Well, if you add a little bit of cream to it, that's usually called a ganache. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's just chocolate.
This was just chocolate, so there was no cream. We had to add a little bit of water just to thin it down and make it, easily spreadable. But it was great because whatever, you make a homemade cake. We're not professional bakers. You make a homemade cake and it comes out with little lumps and bumps or whatever. But this stuff was like spackle and it was chocolate. And it was really good. And before the chocolate frosting hardened, we embedded these amazing plastic things in it. So the theme was that the wedding had a nautical theme, and the theme of the cake was all about Poseidon and his queen, Aphrodite. So instead of a typical bride and groom as a cake topper, we had Poseidon and Aphrodite. And then all the creatures of the sea who might be good for their relationship and who might be bad. We had pirates who wanted to steal the treasure because there was a treasure chest up on top of the cake. And so it was great. All of these things that we got at the arts and crafts store, you just stick them right into the warm chocolate and boom, instant theme cake. That was delicious. And I helped and I didn't mess it up.
So where are the pictures of this said cake?
Well, I have to wait for them to come to me. I have one. I can post it. I'll share it.
Okay, was this a theme wedding? Were you dressed as Keira Knightley in your little outfit and there with Johnny Depp?
No, it was not.
No.
Well, the theme was nautical, but it was a very elegant nautical. They had starfish and anchors and red and navy blue because it was in Newport, Rhode Island. So that was lovely. But the bride has an affection or an appreciation for kitschy kind of funny things. She has a really good sense of humor. So we decided to play up that side of the nautical theme of the wedding. And it was great fun. It was really fun. And it was very colorful. So these horse people may have seen these things. So some of the tack shops carry them. They're called tubes, TOOB toys. And they're like a little collection of, plastic horses.
Yep.
In a tube. Well, they make nautical stuff too. So there was fish, there were clownfish, there were dolphins and whales and sharks and sea turtles and coral. And so we had all of these things literally like tubes embedded into the cake. It was so cool.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
Yep. And my whole house smelled like chocolate and there was big splotches of chocolate all over the kitchen. I got to
Look
lick
at you
the bowl.
becoming domesticated.
It was so much fun. So anyway, I got a firsthand lesson in how to melt chocolate, what kinds of chocolates to use, how good it can taste when it's all done. I think I might officially be a chocolate fan.
That's amazing. I'm happy to have you as part of the club.
Thanks. Happy to be here. That's my experience. I'm done. Over and out.
I don't want to be done. I want to keep talking about chocolate now.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting really hungry for chocolate cake.
Glenn, didn't you have... we were going to talk about...
Kat had something else. I'm not sure. What did you had something else you wanted to talk about?
So we're totally falling off the bandwagon at this point. So we're going from chocolate to more chocolate, and now we're going to the 9 rules for naked dining. Because that goes along with chocolate.
As long as chocolate is served for dessert, I'll do it.
Or nothing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We can take this so far, and let's try and keep it classy here. But I came across this article this morning, and I was laughing about it because 9 rules for naked dining. Okay, your interest is piqued. You're kind of like, what is this all about? And apparently, this is an etiquette guide to nude resorts. Now, I don't know how often any of your listeners are going to be going to nude resorts, but just in case they find themselves there, this is the opportunity to learn how to correctly behave.
I have a confession.
What?
I've been to a nudist resort before.
Really?
For a week.
Are we allowed to talk about this on the air?
For a weekend, I was at a nudist resort. Before Jennifer,
weekend?
this is pre-Jennifer. Jennifer knows about this, so I'm not going to get in too much trouble. Yes, I had a previous fiance when I was in my young 20s who went to nudist resorts.
Whoa. You were engaged before Jennifer?
Yes, I was. Yes, thank God that didn't work out. So she, her family did as well. So she had been going a long time. So I actually went with her one weekend to a nudist resort in the Poconos of Pennsylvania. And we stayed the weekend. They had little cabins and stuff you could rent, and then they had camping, and they had all the
Naked
amenities.
camping? Are you kidding me?
No, a lot of people camped, and then they had pool, and by the way, it isn't a cliche. Volleyball is very popular. They had a volleyball tournament against another nudist camp that weekend.
I need to go now. I need to go.
She brought it up. Wasn't me.
I did. It is.
So anyway, what I would say about nudist camps is this was a very family place, and nothing was like no sex in public, none of that stuff. It was a very family place, and a lot of kids there, adults.
That would be more tolerable than the volleyball, I thought.
Grandparents, the whole works. And one of the things I would say is everybody expects to go there and be aroused, right? You can't be. You just aren't, because most people are not attractive naked. 80% of the population is. Oh, they had another thing that weekend too: hot air balloon rides. They had people from the local hot air balloon clubs bring their hot air balloons in, and they do the rides where you get to go up and down. And I was chatting with one of them. He said it's their favorite activity of the year. Come to the news camp and do the hot air balloon rides.
I don't know what to say about any of this. I really don't. Helena,
you brought it up. It wasn't me.
I was talking about eating at a dinner table naked at a resort, and we're just going off on this tangent. And
okay, go ahead. I'll chime in about what I found out about all your things here. Go ahead.
I don't know why this is so funny. It just is. But the first number one rule of etiquette is towel on. Naked butts at the table are a big no-no. So apparently this rule is telling you that you need to bring towels with you if you're going to be sitting in a public place.
Actually, yes, it's required there. They tell you when you check in, you must have your towel and you must carry it with you at all times. You actually carry your towel all the time. And any place you sit, you must put your towel down.
Thank you, towel gods. Okay.
Kat is regretting it for bringing this up.
I kind of am, but it is funny. I mean, where else can you talk about something like this?
Than on our show.
Exactly.
Yes. I apologize to all the listeners. If you'd like to turn it off now, please feel free. Come back next week.
Well, we just want to make sure that they're prepared in case they ever find themselves at a nudist resort.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. This is a public service.
Right. We're helping everybody out.
All right.
Okay.
The number 2 was just because we're all naked doesn't mean we're all friends. Now, what you were saying, Glenn, is that everybody was friendly, but it doesn't mean you should go and sit down at someone else's table or cozy up if you don't know the person. Kind of wait to be encouraged to come over.
That is the other thing you get taught when you go into the camp, is that personal space is still personal space, even with or without clothing. Yes, you are warned of that. And they will kick your butt out.
Literally.
Yes, literally.
Okay.
This one, it makes sense. Just took me a little while to kind of absorb it. Was listen to your mother and use a napkin. As a matter of etiquette, covering your private parts with a napkin while at a nudist event is good manners. Makes sense.
I didn't see anybody doing that. Okay, go on.
Next one was some don't like it hot. Most nudist resorts will hold traditional barbecues, and first-timers need to be careful around the weenie roast. Don't allow your waiter to serve you a hot bowl of soup. He can spill it in your lap. Makes sense. I would have never thought about that, but now that I'm thinking about it, it makes me just want a salad and call it a day. Next one was.
Are you on your seat, Helena?
I'm considering stuffing my napkin down my throat at the moment.
But you need your napkin to cover your private parts, Helena.
Yeah, don't do that.
Keep going, because we got to get through this list.
Listen to your mother part 2. Sit up straight. Good posture at the dinner table is always a way to show good breeding and good manners. But when you're nude, slouching and elbows akimbo are not only more noticeable, they create a silhouette that is less attractive. I don't know about you, but none of this makes me want to go to a nude resort.
I just don't think nakedness should be at the dinner table. I don't. I'm not a prude. If I'm all about nakedness at the beach is fine. On your balcony, I don't know, sailing, fine. At the dinner table, I can't. I can't.
This is going in the best of list. Go on, Kat.
Well, what's funny is
how do you keep? I can't even. No. How do you keep your body parts out of your soup?
Well, that brings us to rule number 5. No one.
See, there's an answer for that.
No one will pardon your reach. Don't reach, even if you think it's not a reach. Nude dining requires a great margin of coordination and control. Without a bra and a well-endowed chest, reaching even a little may result in your breast in the marinara sauce.
Oh, yeah. Okay. See, I didn't even see that. Right. Right.
There is.
It's just funny hearing Kat read this. That's
Gives
the
new
funny
meaning
part.
to the word meatball. All right, keep going. We're almost over. It's almost there.
There is such a thing as too casual. Casual dining doesn't mean you can put your ankle across your knee or feet up on the coffee table. Reconsider the view others will have while eating.
God,
Thank
okay,
you.
that one's kind of gross. Go on. We don't need to talk about that one.
Eyes up here, buddy. I'd say the most important table etiquette is for nudists is for no staring. Makes sense. Next one is food porn is okay. Real porn, no way. Goes back to kind of not using this as an arousal thing, is just more of a lifestyle for some people.
Yes.
And keeping your phones put away. You're not allowed to Instagram your dinner at resorts.
Where do you carry it? Go on, next.
Chill out. If you're nervous about dining in the buff, don't be. The resort owners said that usually being naked and concerns about it will go away after about 15 minutes.
And okay, now that is true. Literally, you forget people are naked after a while.
Oh, you did it? Like you actually did it? I can't.
What?
See, I know.
No, you do forget. After you're there for 15 minutes, you kind of, because everybody is. Now, what you find yourself looking at, this is very interesting. In the one evening at the sort of nightclub they had there, they had a lingerie party. That was much more provocative than ever seeing a whole bunch of naked people walking around. And you'd find yourself looking at people who had clothes on. It's true. I'm just telling the truth.
Because your eyes
here.
need a rest from that horror of all. It just
Ask me if I ever went back a second time.
no. I'm sure you didn't.
I
sure you
didn't, actually.
And it's not. Again, it's not that I understand the concept. I get it. I don't have body image issues at all. I'm all about this like free to be you and me type of thing. It's just I don't understand the purpose. I don't understand the philosophical purpose behind it. We wear clothing. I can't even go there. This just opens up a whole entire another show.
Do you really want to revisit this a second time, Helena?
No, I don't. I don't care. You know what? I really don't care. They let them eat naked.
See, Kat is not having problems with this. I can see Kat at a nudist camp.
No, I really don't think I could.
Okay.
What was funny enough is, so my mom and I went to Martha's Vineyard on a vacation. We were down by the beach taking pictures and all this, and I started to say, I'm going to go take a walk, not realizing that that part of the beach was actually for nudists. So I'm there with my mother. Talk about awkward.
I think I stumbled upon that same beach.
Yeah, they don't tell you about it. They don't have signs saying beware. So you kind of stumble upon it, and it's a little disconcerting. After a while, you're comfortable, but they basically had like shades up and stuff for their privacy, which I can totally understand. But it's not something I don't especially want to eat naked either. I have a really hard time with that. That just doesn't sound appealing to me.
But again, at least sunbathing and beach travel, that kind of thing is definitely. I feel that
it seems like a place where if you're gonna do it would be logical to do it.
Yes,
to be naked
and
yes.
comfortable and
right.
All those good things, but at the dinner table. All right, whatever. Cool.
Yeah, nobody knows what to say. How do we close this up? I'm not really sure.
Glenn made us do it. Just in case you guys are wondering.
I didn't even bring this up. This was not me, people. You can write your emails to Kat at nudistdining.com.
No, it is not that.
Kat, what's the website again? I'm sure people are going to want to go see the article now.
Bon Appetit has it. Of all the places and all the people to talk about it, Bon Appetit, the very wonderful magazine that I love to read.
Stuffy food magazine. It had this. That's funny.
Yeah. I'll send you the link so you can go ahead and post it.
Okay. Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
EatYourTartOut.com and go search for Eat Your Tart Out on Facebook. It's been fun.
Oh, my God.
There you go. What a way to start off the show. For the few people that are left after...
The few people that are left listening, you mean?
We actually have a serious training tip coming up for you with Ellie O'Brien. She's doing her training tip of the month on lateral flexion.
Here he goes.
Which sounds dirty after all of that. And that's gonna be right after this word with a nutrition tip so you can look better at the nudist camp. This is actually for your horse. By Kentucky Performance.
We had no idea when we named the show really just how apropos it would be.
We didn't even know she was going to do that whole segment.
Nope.
Oh, my face hurts. Dr. Rose's Remedies Skin Treatment Salve and Spray are 100% all-natural products. They are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Dr. Rose's are made with all human-grade ingredients and are safe and effective for treatment for all manner of cuts and scrapes on your horse. And Dr. Rose's is the must-have product here at the Horse Radio Network headquarters to keep PT Scooter's delicate white pasterns free from dew poisoning and scratches. Ask for Dr. Rose's at your local tack store or feed supplier, or visit them online at drrosesremedies.com. That's drrosesremedies.com. By ridingwarehouse.com, your one-stop online tack shop. A huge selection of your favorite products and brands, but also including really unique and hard-to-find items like knee patch and full-seat riding jeans with cargo pockets, rigging converters, and a wide variety of bitless bridles. Listeners of the Horse Radio Network can use the coupon code RADIO for 15% off their order this month only, plus free shipping over $50 or $5 for second-day air, and a return policy like no other in the business, and that is free returns for 1 year both ways. You can find it all at ridingwarehouse.com. Give them a chance and save 15%. Use the coupon code RADIO at checkout.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Last time we talked to you, you were about to move here, and now you have moved.
Yeah, yep. I'm all set up here in Charlotte, and I'm really loving it. I've loved meeting a lot of people in the equestrian industry, and it's been great so far.
And you, of course, for new listeners, you came from New Zealand. We had Ellie on every month doing a trainer tip with us, and now she can come to us from the United States. And for the first time, I got to meet Ellie at Road to the Horse, and we got to spend quite a bit of time together. It was so good to see you.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was neat to finally meet.
And Ellie, Helena, actually co-hosted our live coverage of Horses in the Morning from there. She was my co-host.
Yes, I know. I was able to tune in briefly here and there. There's nothing like hitting the ground running, and Ellie has pretty much done exactly that. You poor girl. I say poor girl. I mean, it's an exciting adventure, but I'm sure you're happy to be back to your new home and settling in there. What do you think of, how long have you been in the States now? So a couple weeks, a month?
Yeah, we've been here just over 3 weeks now, so it's gone really fast, and I've loved every minute of it. But yeah, it is nice to be back home and starting to set up things properly so I can get stuck back into the horses again.
Well, now...
Go ahead, Glenn.
Real quick, before we go on, you were at Road to the Horse. You were working with one of the clinicians and actually working there. What did you think? This was your first Road to the Horse, and also, you got to see the kind of behind the scenes of how everything happens there.
Yeah, that's right. I was lucky enough to have met the Double Dan team a few years ago, and when I was coming over here, I realized that it was going to be, only a couple of weeks away from Road to the Horse. So I put my hand up to come along and help out, and that was really great. It was my first time there, and good to just see how it all happens and how it all works. And hopefully I'm going to be competing there in a few years' time. That's the dream anyway.
We'll all be really rooting for you when that happens. How about the Kentucky Horse Park? That was your first time there, too.
Wow, it was amazing. One morning we were able to ride the horses out, and we were riding over, the cross-country course, and I kind of stopped and thought to myself, like, I'm riding. I'm riding at the Kentucky Horse Park.
Not too many people who live in the States get to do that.
No. I've
never done it.
All the crowds, so.
It is neat, when you get to actually go, to some of those back parts where you really only see them during Rolex and during, cross-country time. And it is kind of neat to see them when it's all quiet. And, it was kind of chilly there when we were there, but I'm sure that it was still fun to go out there and see the backside of the park.
It was a neat time.
Well, and that just made you want to go be a clinician and do that all the more?
Yes, definitely. It was neat. I got to help out with one of the opening acts, and so I got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be in the spotlight. So that was a pretty cool feeling.
Let's tell people what that was. I posted a picture of it. I don't know if you saw it, Helena. But at one point, on the second day, they turned down the lights, turned the lights off in the arena. It was dark. And they went out with these kerosene cans, and they put the RTTH for Road to the Horse real big on the arena floor. And then Ellie will tell you what they did next.
Yep. So one of the Double Dan guys, actually Donald, he has learned how to breathe fire. So he went out and did his fire breathing thing and lit the RTTH on fire. And then we had a couple of other riders come out on horses swinging their fire whips. And then we had a couple of people swinging fire whips and doing fireballs on the ground. And I finished off with swinging like these sparkler fire poi type things. So it was pretty cool.
So what you had was the lights off in the arena, and you had RTTH huge on the arena floor on fire. So you could see the initials of Road to the Horse, and these guys were riding around with these fire whips, swinging them every direction. And then you had little Ellie out there in the middle of all this fire, and with swinging her sparkler whips around, shooting sparklers into the air up to about the ceiling. It was really cool.
It was lots of fun.
You don't have to go to Road to the Horse to see people breathing fire. Just come to my house after my kids trash the kitchen on after school Wednesday. Breathing fire. But I'm sure it was way cooler than anything you would see at my house. And a lot of fun, very powerful. This was Ellie, what I know that we've covered this at some point, and I don't want to I know we have the tip to do, but how long in between the time you first learned about the Road to the Horse to you actually getting there transpired? Like what made you say, this is something I really want to do? And then how long did it take you to do it?
Well, when I first learned of it was actually when I first met the Dans at the end of 2011, and they were preparing for it in 2012. So I guess it was kind of since then that my dream sort of started through them, and just seeing how incredible it is, what incredible horsemen they are to be able to successfully put the first few rides on a horse within that short amount of time, and doing it in such a kind and gentle way as well.
It was neat. By the end of the first hour and a half in the arena with these untouched, unbroke horses that hadn't even had halters on, they had the halter on in the first 15 minutes, most of them. And within an hour and a half, they were riding, walk, trot, cantering these horses in the round pens within an hour and a half. It was incredible to watch it, and then they, after 3 days, after only 5 hours of training, they're out there doing an obstacle course that you and my horses wouldn't even do. Ellie, I can't tell you how many people in the audience. I was listening to the audience, and all of them were saying during that obstacle course on the last day, my horse wouldn't do that.
Ever.
Yeah.
My horse wouldn't even think about it.
And what amazed me too was like how they just dealt with the crowd as well. Like that was pretty full on too, all the clapping and calling out and everything. And they were like old pros at it.
Yeah, this was not a dressage crowd. This was a rodeo crowd.
It was.
There was no dressage clapping, None of that. I found it fascinating, interesting, and I'm a horse husband, and I thought I was going to get bored just sitting there watching them train horses in round pens. I was absolutely fascinated from beginning to end. I will go back every year. I'm a convert now. And
wow, that's saying a lot.
it really is because you
That
know
is
me.
saying
The
a lot.
listeners know me too. I'm not. I get bored at the first dressage test I have to watch, but this was. You couldn't help. A non-horse person, period, would get bored because they think that horses. Ellie, am I right? They think horses just do this stuff automatically, and the rider does nothing, right? Isn't that what non-horse people think? Yeah. No, and all horses will go, through this obstacle course. They'll all do that. But no, if you appreciate the little things, you see through that hours of training, these horses, the light bulbs coming on during every session. And it's so interesting to see the light bulbs coming on. There's one thing, Helena, that really did mean a lot to me, and it shows you a lot. At the end of 5 hours of training, they do this bizarre obstacle course, and the one rider fell off because they had to do something that caused the horse to buck, and he fell off. Jim Anderson, right? He fell off. No, it wasn't Jim Anderson. It was
Jonathan Field.
Jonathan Field, who's been a guest on this show, Helena.
Yes,
we like him.
yes.
Yes.
We love him.
I was set up right beside his booth, so I got to talk to Jonathan a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he fell off, and his horse took off bucking around the arena and was racing around, did 2 laps around. And what did the horse do? Not go for the exit gate. The horse didn't go for the people that were standing in the middle of the arena, the judges and stuff. The horse, after racing around, he stood still. The trainer stood still, and the horse walked back up to the trainer, stopped, and stood there.
That was pretty special.
That showed you a lot. I mean, it just showed you that the horse understood who the herd leader was, right?
Yeah.
It was really cool. That was one of the most touching moments for me, Ellie. I don't know about you, but that was touching.
Yeah, I agree. I was throughout the whole thing. I'm such a big softie, and I was like, in a rom-com movie or something, trying to hold back tears.
Well, when you're out there, the whole Horse Radio Network crew is going to be there. We're going to get a bunch of our listeners, and we're going to have a big party in one of those sections, and we're going to carry the best signs.
Now that would be cool.
You will have us rooting for you. Well, let's talk tip now. What are we going to talk about today?
Oh, well, today I thought that I'm sort of, as I go through my tips, I'm sort of doing it in somewhat of a progression. So today I thought I would talk about lateral flexion, just because this is one of the real basic foundations that I teach to all my horses from the ground before I even think about getting up in the saddle. It's a really cool multi-purpose type of tool, and you can get a lot of things achieved in different aspects. So anyway, I'll get started. So what is lateral flexion? Many of us would have seen this movement when we have had like the chiropractor out or that type of person. And it's basically just doing, when they do the stretch, they have the horse's nose come around to his girth area and it stretches all up through the neck. So other than a good stretch, it's also great because what you're doing is you're asking the horse to come into sort of a submissive position. From this position, we can get things achieved like moving the hindquarters across. We can teach the horse to break at the pole, and we want to have that achieved before we even think about having vertical flexion. When we're going to ask for it, what we're going to do is we want the horse's head to break, like I said, break at the pole and bend to about 90 degrees to the side. you don't want to have the nose tip over to the side and the outside ear drop to the ground, if that makes sense, because then you're not really getting the true and correct position come along.
Okay, right. So it's got to stay. So the head needs to stay sort of the movement
up.
has to be parallel to the ground.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
My pony has that figured out because I think before I got him, he was actually tied to a tie line. And so he figured out how to turn his head and bring it around like that. That's how he fights the halter. So I know exactly what you're talking about, because with him, it's very difficult to get him to do it any other way because he's been doing it that way for 5 years.
Yeah, and it is quite a difficult thing to get them out of. But basically, if you're getting that happening, what you want to do is you might have to move your hand around into different positions, or even if you're doing this from the saddle, you might have to take a little bit of a hold of outside rein as well as you bring the horse's head around. And once again, just holding that pressure until you get the desired result and then releasing. So, it might take a little bit of work to get them in that correct position. Anyway, so let's talk about why lateral flexion. It is the beginning of softness in our steering. If we do not have lateral flexion, we cannot achieve true vertical flexion, which is basically the horse coming onto the bit and having a soft feel. I want the horse to be able to be soft and yielding in every position, and if there is resistance, then there is bound to be resistance in the vertical flexion. I'll also use this in ridden work to help teach engagement in the hindquarter and help standing up of the inside shoulder if the horse has been taught to motorbike around corners or has lack in balance. So as you can see, it's a really good exercise because we can cover a whole heap of things with it. The lateral
No. I was just thinking about where one would start. I mean, you're probably going to get there, but of course, I have the attention span of a flea. Where do you start? So if lateral flexion is key to keeping a soft and overall flexible horse, what's the very first thing you would do to teach your horse lateral flexion? I'm thinking, here I am sitting in the saddle. I've got 2 reins in my hand, and the first thing I'm going to go to is the bit.
Yeah,
which may or may not be right. So what's the jumping off point for teaching this type of flexion?
So what I'll do is I'll teach this movement from the ground first and just my rope halter. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand at the horse's side, kind of in the same position that I would be in as if I was up on the horse's back in the saddle. And from there, I'll flick the end of my lead rope up over its back as well, just for keeping it nice and safe and tidy. With my outside hand, I'm going to reach down the lead rope and slowly take a hold of the lead rope. First, I'll kind of I'll close each finger at a time, so I'm ensuring that I start softly. And throughout this whole exercise, my goal is sort of to see how much I can achieve without doing a lot, if that makes sense. So if I close one finger at a time, then I might only get to the second finger before the horse is given to me a little bit. And if it does give to me at that stage, then I'm going to release, drop the lead rope and go back to the start. But on the flip side, if I'm working with a horse that has got a bit more resistance in there, and this could be an untouched horse, or this could be a horse that has sort of been maybe pulled around on a bit over 10 years of being led and whatnot.
Or a busybody like mine who's looking around at what else is going on. I sometimes find resistance that way, not really paying attention.
Yeah. So, and what you would do there, you might get to the stage that you've closed all of your fingers and you're having to have quite a firm hold on there.
Yeah.
And you might get to this point and then they start to walk their feet around in a circle. So you find that you're walking around in a circle with your horse. Stay in that position, stay holding on there, and it's really important not to let go at this stage. Because if we let go, then basically all we're teaching them is that we want them to move their feet. So hang
Okay.
on there, hold on to that rein, and as soon as the horse stops its feet and gives a little bit with its head, then you're going to release immediately, drop that whole lead rope, and so that you're really teaching them that that was what you wanted.
The bend, not the movement of the hindquarters, because letting go is the reward.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you wait, and this may take a couple of times,
before
right?
we go on there, I just have a quick question. One of the things I noticed that none of these guys did, and you're not talking about here, is using treats to get this accomplished. I assume you're like them and never use treats. You'll use a reward, a pat, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, out in the field, you look at horses working together, and I don't often see a horse give another horse a treat when it gets out of its safe.
Okay, never looked at it that way before.
So the biggest reward that I can give the horse is to leave it alone. And that's the way it's going to learn the cue or aid or whatever I'm trying to teach the horse is just the pressure and then release.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Helena. I'm sorry.
No, because now you messed me all up, Glenn. You had to go and, I don't know what I was talking about. No. Okay, so we were talking about releasing as reward. What I was going to ask is how often would you say that you should repeat this initial process to reinforce the behavior?
Well, what I'm going to do is, when we're first teaching it, you might only get a little bit of movement to start with, but you want to keep at it but keep releasing for each little try until you've got the horse's head coming right around. So at the beginning, even with my more advanced horses, the first thing I do when I hop on them is ask for lateral flexion. It's just a good way to warm up, and another thing it's really good for is once you're sitting up there in the saddle, if you immediately ask for that lateral flexion, then it takes away that climbing onto your horse and walking off straight away. So you're kind of cutting out the whole horse walking off as you're just getting up into the saddle.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah.
So, I usually fix it by saying, dude, can you not do that? And it doesn't really work. It doesn't. Dude, stand still. I need to get on your back. And he's like, what? So there's patience. There is a gentleness in approach. There's increasing. They say you start off your request with a whisper and you sort of increase the intensity of the request as you find your horse is or is not responding. So then we get the behavior we want. We repeat it a few times so that it sort of sticks in their brain. And then, obviously some horses are going to respond quicker than others because some are more trainable, some are more focused. At what point do you say that's enough lateral flexion for today? I'm good with this.
At the beginning when I'm first working a horse, it depends on, say if that horse picks it up really fast and easily, then we might get through the whole exercise within 5 to 10 minutes sort of thing. But if that horse, and then we'll leave it alone, but if that horse has found it more difficult to do it and I can only get the horse's head to come part way around, as long as we finish better than we started, then I'll leave it there and come back to it the next day. But I want to have it really soft on each side before I think about getting up into the saddle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you think, Glenn? Is this something that you could teach PT to do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to, actually, because, he does have a problem with that. It's something that because of the way he turns his head, I think we're going to have to do. And even with carriage drivers, this is important because, they are somewhat more limited in what they can do as far as their turns because of the harness and the shafts being in their way. So they have to learn. One of the things that I found most interesting, Ellie, and this kind of relates to that, was what Jim Anderson said in his clinic while we were at Road to the Horse, in that you think about the horse in three parts: the front end, the middle, and the back end. And, he talked about what all those three parts do. Here you're dealing with the front end to affect the middle and the back end. And no matter whether you're riding or driving, this becomes very important.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and I also find that if you haven't got one of those parts working, then the other two parts aren't going to work as well either.
Right.
Right, because they are kind of connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good exercise for my horse, who is actually he's quite lovely under saddle. He's quite a gentleman, but we have a hard time. He kind of goes around in circles when with his nose to the outside, and there are a number of reasons for this, but I think one of them is that he just does not have practice of this lateral flexion, of being flexible. He doesn't understand that it's okay and can be more comfortable to flex to the inside, which, like you said, when we do some stretching exercises and we do some of these flexion exercises before we ride, he sort of gets lubed up for it. And then I find that bending is much easier in general. So those parts do connect in a softer way. But it's just not something you think, you don't think about starting on these little exercises on the ground. Let's do them on the ground, and then let's do them when our horse is under saddle. The first thing I think of is just, I need a double jointed bit so I can isolate his right shoulder from his left shoulder. And maybe I just need a little more inside leg, and then just sort of overcomplicate everything instead of thinking, well, let's just get off my horse and do some exercises on the ground. So I love this.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think when you run into trouble higher up in your riding and in your movements, always going back to those basic foundations and checking over them to make sure they're all happening and they're still in there. And then usually, more often than not, you'll find that you'll fix that big problem from going back and dealing with that small, what we would kind of think is an insignificant issue that was early on in their training.
Well, Ellie, thank you again so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It was very fascinating today. I appreciate you being here, and it was so good to meet you, and I look forward to spending more time with you now that you're here in the United States.
Yes, likewise.
And now that you're a seasoned broadcaster and radio show host.
I think I still have some work to do on that side.
You did great. You did terrific. We had 10 guests on that morning in an hour and a half, and
Holy cow.
Ellie kept up. She was right there. You did a good job.
That's what we call baptism by fire, Ellie. That's Horse Radio Network. That's our training program.
We had a lot of really good guests, so that really helped.
We really did. Some lovely, lovely people, so that was really cool.
Yep. We actually did our first, Ellie and I did the first guest that we had to have a translator for. That's right. The one competitor's wife is French and didn't speak any English or very little English, and she wasn't comfortable on the radio, so she was talking in French, and we had a translator who was translating for us. So that was interesting.
It was really cool. It was so neat. It was a very diverse interview.
Yeah, it was. We had Ellie with her accent. We had the girl who was translating had an accent, and then we had the wife with a French with lovely French accent. So it was great. It was. I felt multicultural.
Yeah, it was great.
Alina's laughing. That'd be the first time in my life. Thank you, Ellie. Where can people find you?
At Ellie O'Brien, Equestrian Finesse Training. And I can also do some pictures and videos on what we've talked about today in case anyone got a little bit lost in that.
Okay. But that's the best place is to look for those at your website or at your Facebook page. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ellie. Well, now that we have talked way longer than we thought we would with our two guests that normally take 5 minutes each, we have no time for the rest of the show. We'll have to come back and talk about smells next week, and I really don't want to put our discussion on smells on the same show as the nudist discussion. It just doesn't.
No, I can't.
Or food.
I could not let you do that.
So next week we'll talk about good smells and bad smells. And then we also will get to our Tack and Habit thing next week as well. We'll talk about all the different weird apps that are out there for your phones. But other than that, I can't continue. I just have to go eat. I have to try and eat some lunch.
You're just going to shut it down. I have to eat some lunch. Now you're going to eat some lunch. Good luck with that.
With my clothes on. Because
Yeah.
not even Jennifer wants to see me with my clothes off eating lunch.
Oh my goodness.
Could you wrap this show, please?
I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate you following along. Make sure you check out the free Horse Radio Network app. Where do they get the Horse Radio Network app?
Just go to the App Store at iOS or Android on your phone and search for Horse Radio Network, and you can download it for free, and it's easy to use, and it's really wonderful. And last weekend, thanks to Road to the Horse, we had a record. Hundreds of people downloaded it in 2 days. It was great.
Wow, that's good.
Thank you.
That's
Welcome
really, really
to all the new listeners to the show.
Yeah. This is us. This is Glenn Helena, and this is Stable Scoop. For well, you know what? We do this every week. Well, not this, but something along these lines.
Something better.
I don't know about better, but if you want to even see what we have cooking, come log on next Friday for another episode. Who knows what we're going to be talking about? For details about today's show, at least the ones you want to follow up on, go to stablescoop.com. We will post links, photographs, and more information about our guests. And we do love your feedback, so follow us on Facebook. We're just search for Stable Scoop. We're there. The conversation continues. And you can also find us on Twitter at Horse Radio.
Thank you, Helena. What's my line?
Many thanks to our sponsors. Today is Kentucky Performance Products. If
They'll never be back.
I
They're
was going to
cancel.
say they may not be our sponsor next week,
Never gonna
but we
come
thank
up
you this week to KPP.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here for as long as you have, and we're sorry we screwed it up. That's it, Helena. I gotta go.
That is plenty. There'll be more next week, and until then, happy scooping.